hockey friends and families around the world, and welcome to another edition of Our Kids Play Goalie. You heard me say that right. I'm Leo Elias. Today I'm joined by my co-host Christy Burns and Mike Benelli. You did hear me say it a moment ago. This is an episode of Our Kids Play Goalie, but like all of our shows, the information we provide is for all hockey parents, players, and coaches. Plus, if you aren't showing goalies some love, what are you doing? Our guest today, Ian Shane, recently wrapped up a stellar NCAA career at Cornell University, earning such accolades as, get this, the ECAC Ken Dryden Goaltender of the Year Award, God bless his soul, unanimous Ivy League Player of the Year, multiple All-Star honors, and several others. All of this after posting some incredible statistics in net, including a season leading the entire nation in the goals against average column. His story is one you'll want to hear also, because after a season canceled by COVID, you'll all remember that, Ian began his freshman year as the third goalie on the roster. But as all great stories go, once he was given a chance, he made the most of it, seizing the starting role and holding on to it through graduation. He's a California native, which means Ian's journey is also an inspiring one from growing up in a non-traditional hockey market. I think we still say that, although that's starting to break down as well, to now competing at the professional level. We're also proud to share that Ian is a consistent user of NHL Sense Arena, our show's title sponsor, which he has used to sharpen his game and maintain a mental edge. We will talk about that today as well. So today we're going to explore Ian's path, his training habits, the mindset required to thrive as a goaltender and a hockey player at the collegiate and pro level. This is going to be a good one. Ian, welcome to Our Kids Play Goalie.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Ian, we're so excited. Welcome. Lee just mentioned it. Your journey started in California, also mentioned by Lee. Great intro, by the way.
Thank you, my friend.
That you grew up in a non-traditional hockey climate, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So what drew you to the crease?
Well, first it just started out with being just attracted to the game of hockey. My dad played at Hobart, just down the road from Cornell,
yes.
and he played a little bit professionally overseas. And so I grew up going to just his beer league games on Friday nights and whatnot, and loved being around the rink and hanging out at the Toyota Center in El Segundo where the LA Kings practice. And
Familiar with
so
all those places, yeah.
Yeah. So I was exposed to it from an early age and always wanted to hop on there, and finally got my chance to start up playing some Might in-house hockey. And I believe it was our second game into the year. I started as a forward and our goaltender didn't show up. So coach asked the locker room, does anyone want to throw on the pads? And I was the first one to raise my hand. And I guess I never really looked back since. I had a lot of fun. And I think our goalie actually ended up leaving about halfway through the year. So I just stuck with it. And, disappointed my dad a little bit. It was the one position in hockey he knew absolutely nothing about.
Exactly.
So I'm sure
that's
he
always
loved,
the way it goes.
He would have loved to have access to a podcast or something like this to sort of help guide him through that process. But
well, I got to say, Ian, my son plays goaltender, and I remember when he put the pads on. What was funny about it is that he put them on, and it was kind of a jokey type moment, kind of like like you said, like, oh, we just need to put somebody in the net. And I saw the smile on his face, and I remember thinking that is an uncommon smile that he has just put on. And but you know what? He loves it, and he's a goaltender now, and that's his role. And it's been fun for me actually, as a coach and as a former player, to rediscover the game through the eyes of that position. So I'm sure your father had some of that as well.
Oh, absolutely. I think he loved being involved with it while he could. Obviously, as they get a little bit older and out of sort of his wheelhouse, the training has to be left more to the coaches and my development. But I do think he had a great time, sort of like you said, rediscovering sort of the passion for hockey through me.
Yeah. I'm also glad I never played that. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Well, that's the beauty about being a part of Sense Arena, right? You get to play goalie without having to put all the gear on. And if you play your cards right, if you're a parent that really knows what they're doing, you'll be able to put them in a position to scare them the hell out of the net. So if you can use that, use that virtual reality to your advantage. But Ian, obviously you got your starting job at Cornell, which I guess a lot of people would say in pretty dramatic fashion. I think almost in the same vein of getting thrown in as an 8U player from the Mites, right? Just your preparation and being ready for that moment. And obviously that's a big difference between getting in the net for the first time ever and then getting in the net for something you believe you should be in, pretty much, at that point of your career. Can you just talk about that moment and how you prepared mentally and physically, to step into a spotlight, maybe when you weren't designated to be there?
Yeah, I would honestly give a lot of credit to Coach Schaefer at Cornell my freshman year. He really kept pushing everybody, especially the goaltenders, because Matthew Galida had just graduated from Cornell, and he was a stud, an All-American, Richter and Hobie Baker finalist goaltender. So to go from that to three guys who'd never played a game of college hockey before was pretty tough for him. So he was hard on us, but he definitely made sure that, you guys got to be confident here. You need to keep working with each other. You all need to develop your games. And it was the same for me. The other two were playing, but I remember I was in the rink early one time in the locker room, and he came in and was just writing stuff down on the board for practice and turned around and saw I was there. And he said, I haven't forgotten about you, right? Like you're still very much in my mind for playing. And so just keeping sort of my spirits high and realizing I'm never really out of the question. I'm not out of the battle yet was big. And it was around Christmas time when I sort of let go a little bit. I stopped really kind of competing against the other goalies. And I was like, I'm just going to compete against myself. I'm going to have more fun out here. I'm going to make it just a game every single day and just, I don't know, compete against the puck and make it what I can. And I think I started having really good practices sort of leading up to our series against Arizona State. And I think our goalies sort of struggled a little bit, unfortunately, that weekend. I think our team sort of struggled a little bit that entire weekend, and was fortunate enough where we went down early in the first period of our second game, and was a little bit surprised when Shafe called my name, except instead of the other freshman goaltender's name, because that guy had played about 6 or 7 games by that point, and just went in there and said, all right, I mean, it's kind of trial by fire at this point. If he wants to throw me in, like, there's literally nothing for me to lose. We're already down in the game. I've never played a hockey game. There's zero expectations. So I would say it was honestly one of the easier kind of points of coming in, where I didn't have all this pressure and all these expectations on myself. It was more like, just going to go out there, have fun, see what I can do, see if I'm a college hockey goaltender. And, either way, I'm kind of proving people right that maybe, I should be here, or nothing changes and I'm still back to just competing in the same spot I was. So
It's interesting that you got to that point, because I think a lot of kids and young adults and college kids obviously put a lot of pressure on themselves when they're in that position. So was it just you kind of switched your mental thought about the position? Or, I mean, how did you make that transition? All of a sudden you kind of, all right, this is it. I'm just going to go and have fun. How did you get to that point?
I honestly think it was really quick. Like, I don't think there was necessarily a conscious conversation with myself in terms of, okay, this is how I should, I don't know, perceive it, or sort of how my perspective on this situation should be. It was more, hey, Ian, go, you're going in the net. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to get out there. And now I'm standing in the crease going, oh, okay, I'm playing Arizona State. I got nothing to lose. We're down 3-0. Let's just see what we can do with this situation.
Yeah, you know what it sounds like, and kind of even leading up to this with the practices, is that you let go of what you could not control and got very focused on what you could control. You got very present. I love that you said, I'm not competing against them anymore. I'm competing against myself.
Yeah.
Right. Which in turn feeds each other. Right.
That's a big revelation.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people come to that conclusion. And I think that changed your game, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say I read about that a little later on, a book called Fearless Golf, which another Cornell alum, Ben Scrivens, recommended to me. And it's all about having sort of a practice and a process mindset and being oriented as to all these professional golfers playing the course instead of playing against other golfers, and how well they manage their mindsets and their games when they approach it in that style. That's something that I have definitely, especially since I started playing at the college level, I've been trying to really hold on to and sort of keep as part of my process.
Shane, or Ian, sorry. I think one of the things that we'll hear a lot, right, in these, our goalie podcasts and the focus on goaltending, and a lot of us that coach goaltenders that aren't goaltenders ourselves, or, aren't a goaltending coach, and you're kind of, not helping, in my side, make the argument that you got to prepare your goalies, well ahead of time and give them a chance. But on a regular basis, like, would you say that, having those, like the youth level, growing up and having the ability to have 1 or 2, maybe 3 goalies on your team, and the constant battle of always trying to compete helped you? Or, especially at the college level, you have to, right? You probably have 3-4 goalies all the time, always kind of in the mix. But at the youth level, it's pretty much two goalies. If you talk a little bit about, you know, that preparation growing up as a goalie, you know, would the coaches tell you a day ahead of time? Would they tell you 2 minutes before you got on the ice? You know, how did that preparation change as you got into more of like a competitive, you know, trying to get in a game type format?
I think I've always had really good relationships with my goalie partners, even going back to, I don't know, my first years of travel hockey, playing squirts and peewee and whatnot. I think that was first and foremost. And my dad was a big advocate of that just be friends with them. Like they're, you know, you're on the same team. And he would always say it's a big maturity standpoint for you to be able to say, yeah, it's someone I'm competing against, but you know, I can learn from them as well. And I don't really remember any situations growing up where I really felt like I was really competing just against like the kid on my travel team. I think I saw it as more of like a relationship or a partnership where, hey, we're kind of, you know, the tide raises all ships, so to speak. Like if we both get better here, both work harder here, then things will be better for both of us. We'll both get equal playing time. And I mean, growing up, most of my travel teams, I think we just split the